if I can be of any help to this wonderful university, Mizoram University.
Yes,
I
sir.
see a lot of things that you are doing every other day. I keep on seeing the posts from Mizoram University.
Yes, yes, sir. Actually, now you are playing your professionals are playing very crucial role, sir. Providing information and remote access to students and teachers. It is going to be a technology-oriented management system you are now providing all the libraries. Actually,
sir, right now you will be happy to know. Right now, in 2 minutes' time, I will just let me have your mobile number. I'll send you what I spoke yesterday, and it has been captured by Times of India today.
Yes, sir.
I will send you the clipping of that.
I tell you my number, sir. 9440
9440
86
86
94
94
77.
77. I repeat, 944086 9477. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Professor Rao.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I was doing a webinar as I'm doing for you today.
Yes,
I was
sir.
doing yesterday evening a webinar for
Yes,
this university.
Yes, sir.
Bennett University.
Yes, sir.
You have heard of Bennett University?
I did not heard, sir. Actually, where it is located, sir?
It is in Delhi NCR region.
Yes, sir. Okay, okay.
It is by Times of India people. It is Bennett University. Bennett Coleman, you must have heard.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was doing a webinar there.
Yes, sir.
Then, my focus there was how can we implement teaching learning component of NEP.
Yes, sir.
So that was the topic.
Yes, sir.
And in that, the discussion came that how come national education policy has not given educate, trust, and impetus to libraries.
Yes, sir.
So the Times of India people approached me now, and I have sent them this note. The note, I am reading it out to you.
Yes, sir.
Libraries until NEP 2020 being referred to and treated as heart and soul of academic institutions by all relevant policy making bodies in all policy documents.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Getting omitted in NEP 2020 is a matter of concern.
Yes,
like the entire spectrum of education, libraries too are transforming as learning resource centers to act as partners to academia in their pursuit of knowledge generation, which is research, knowledge dissemination, which is teaching, and knowledge dissemination, which is application, which is use and service. Equipped with adequate skill sets and competencies, professionals engaged in the sector are next to none in playing their role as partners by capturing, processing, retrieving, and making available the essence of otherwise chaotic and volatile world of information to those who need it at a time when they need it and where they need it. Professionals and this profession merit adequate trust and impetus in this policy. If not understood and addressed in this context, precious time of academia will go in such endeavors, leaving them with little time to concentrate on their core activities.
Yes, sir. No, actually, it was a crucial time that the management library systems people, they have to play a crucial role, sir.
Yeah.
And even in our university, we introduced remote access mode for the students in the last 6 months, and we have purchased more than 1 crore worth of e-books also for the students. And we are trying our best to help the students during this time, sir.
No, sir, it is doing a lot of good work under your leadership that we see.
Sir, I think this is the time for them to start, I think.
Yeah, yes, I'm all set.
Good afternoon, respected Professor Roshanlal Vaina sir, Vice Chancellor of JK Lakshmipat University, Jaipur, Rajasthan, and all the participants who already joined this today webinar going to be held on the competency for information professionals in the changing times. So, behalf of the Mizoram University, sir, I welcome you. And now, sir, for your kind information, total 650 registered participation for this webinar. And now I am going to And now I want to invite our today webinar coordinator and the dean of our school, Professor R.K. Nutin Kumar, to give a brief introduction about today's resource person to the participant. Sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Professor Raina.
Good afternoon.
Now we are going to start our webinar on competencies of information professionals in changing times. It is a very relevant topic for this pandemic time. I'm very thankful that our Vice Chancellor, Professor Rao, is also sitting with us. He's joining the webinar. Thank you very much, sir, for joining this webinar. Before going forward, I'd like to introduce to the participants our speaker. Today, webinar speaker is Professor Rosanlal Raina, who is the Vice Chancellor of J.K. Lakshmipat University, Jaipur. Dr. Rosanlal Raina is Vice Chancellor of JKLU. Before taking over as the Vice Chancellor of JKLU, Dr. Rana was Professor, Communication and Dean, Planning and Development, IMM Lucknow, where he taught a variety of courses in communication for management. Dr. Raina has over 34 years of managerial experience and nearly 21 years of postgraduate teaching experience. As a Fulbright scholar, he went to the School of Information Studies, Syracuse University, Syracuse, New York, USA, and successfully audited advanced courses in automation and networking. Research contributions of Dr. Raina include 22 authors, as well as edited best-selling books and 230 papers in peer-reviewed journals, conference, seminars, proceedings. As a highly respected trainer in corporate, academic, as well as government circles, Dr. Raina has been actively involved in conducting more than 200 advanced, innovative, and need-based management faculty development programs and workshops. Concurrently, he has been involved in over 50 consulting and research assignments awarded by reputed national and international agencies like the JSI Deliver, USA, IDRC Canada, the Johns Hopkins University Center for Communication Programs, Baltimore, USA, the EP State Electric Board, in connection with an injunction from the Apex Court, State Water and Sanitation Mission, Government of UP, EP State, Road Transport Corporation, MHRD, Government of India, and DECIDOC, DRDO, Government of India. As a regular speaker at national and international level, academic and industry seminars and conferences, summits, conclaves, his research on bringing in and building on the elements of quality in higher education and research initiations has drawn appreciation from all concerned. As a scholar and an institution builder of repute, Dr. Raina, for his multifaceted contributions, holds a unique distinction of having received several professional scholarships, honors, and awards, including the Fulbright Award, the British Council Fellowship, SIS Fellowship, Top Rankers Excellence Award for Academic Leadership in 2014, Indian Science Congress Association Honor in 2014, LGBI Distinguished Lifetime Achievement Award in 2016, at least Professor Jaginder Singh Ramdev Lifetime Achievement Award in 2015, facilitation by G.B. Pant University of Agriculture and Technology, Uttarakhand in 2017, Exemplary Academic Leadership Award in 2017, Visionary Edu Leader of India Award in 2017, Distinguished Service Award in 2018 by IICA, SEC Online and SLS, Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018 by MPLA, and Rajasthan Chamber of Commerce and Industry Award for meritorious contribution awards, industrial development of the state in 2020. We have a knowledgeable person this afternoon as our speaker. We're really happy to have him in our midst. Welcome, and I appreciate your presence, sir. Thank you.
Now I request our today's speaker, Professor Rosanlal Raina sir, to sir now session. You can start your session.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dr. Manoj. Let me begin by expressing my sincere thanks to the Honorable Vice Chancellor of this wonderful university, Professor Rao, and the Dean, who was very kind and very large-hearted in introducing me, for giving me an opportunity to be here with you all. I see 188 people through this meeting, through this mode, attending this interaction. And there will be many more if they are on the Facebook or other social media getting connected. But here I see 192 people attending this meet. While I express my sincere thanks to you, Manoj, and to your university, to your Vice Chancellor, to your Dean, to your faculty colleagues, to your students, I also join each and every one of us in wishing each and every one of us attending this meeting, a very safe and healthy life ahead. We know we are passing through very, very unprecedented times. We have not seen such times in our lifetime, and we don't want to see such situations in times ahead. But having said what I said, this is a reality. We have to accept it as a harsh reality, and we have to live with this harsh reality, because this seems to be teaching us some lessons, and which we have to take very, very positively and supportively. Not that I am saying that COVID has been a blessing. No, it is a curse, because every day we are losing people, and losing a person is a great loss to humanity. So I won't say it is something good, but yes, it is taking lives every other day. But along with that, it has taught us some basic lessons. And if we learn those lessons today, we will not be late for many things tomorrow. If we don't learn them today, probably we will be messing up with ourselves, with our loved ones, with any and everyone on this planet. So my submission, while I request and pray, all of us are staying safe, staying well. My request is, please observe basic guidelines which are being put in place by various bodies, governments, state, center, UGC, whatever. The submission is that please observe those guidelines. That is the only way to defeat it till we get a permanent cure in the form of a vaccine. Researches all over the globe are happening on that front. We expect the vaccine any moment, but till it comes, please observe those basic things, which are nothing new, but taking us to learn and understand what our forefathers were going through, were observing them, were adhering to those basic norms of living, staying safe, maintaining social distance, understanding and addressing, health and hygiene issues, right? Believing in keeping oneself and others around in clean environment. So those are the things that we must keep in mind while we are living with COVID-19 scenario. The topic, as has been shared with you, is competencies for information professionals in changing times. Competencies for information professionals in changing times. Let us not misunderstand as to what do we mean by competency. What do we mean by a skill? Or what do we mean by skill sets or competencies? So that we stay together on this interaction. As we know, skill is an ability to do something with some expertise. Skill is an ability to do something with expertise. But competency is the ability to do something successfully and efficiently. I hope we understand the basic difference between a skill and the competency. So, where perfection, where efficiency, where success is the outcome, we say that's a competency, right? So, let us look at, with that backdrop, what are the kinds of competencies that are a must for a library and information professional to stay ahead in these changing times. Changing times, I say, we are in unprecedented times passing through this COVID. It has taught us many lessons, so we don't want to discuss any further on that, right? So, what kind of skill sets and competencies we have to be now understanding, they will hold us in good stead in times to come. If you look at the surveys that come to us year after year from various bodies, they do tell us that these are the kinds of competencies, or these are the kinds of skill sets which are most sought after. And these skill sets and competencies keep on changing year on year basis. And every year we get, at least every survey that I have looked at tells about that these are the 10 skill sets, or these are the 10 competencies which are most sought after for anyone, from anyone, if he or she has to excel in the situation he or she is in. Now, those of us attending the meeting will be clear and very much aware about what those kinds of competencies have been. Because year after year, they remain by and large the same. It is just that the order may vary from one year to the other. But these competencies remain by and large the same, excepting, of course, some competencies which arise because of the situation that we are in. Like today, the COVID has come before us, and we know there is one area, one competency which any and every one of us has to understand, has to build, has to develop. So, likewise, as the situations unfold, these competencies also, come about differently. Having said what I said, the basic competencies remain by and large the same. Let me show you. Manoj, can I have the slide sharing facility?
Yes, sir. It is enabled for you, sir.
Okay. Is that
Yeah, it is
visible?
visible. Yes.
All right. So, if you look at the 2020 World Economic Forum, its outlook says these are the 10 kinds of competencies which are declining to what it was the last year. Now, these are the kinds of skill sets and competencies which this document, which everybody respects, talks about would be the declining skill sets as far as 2022 scenario is concerned. I will go through them one by one so that we understand what they are. And on the right side of the slide are the kinds of skill sets which are growing, which are the kinds of sought after competencies in days to come. Manual dexterity and precision is declining. Memory, all of these are more or less in the manual space. Memory, verbal, auditory, and spatial abilities. Another competency of yesteryears is showing a declining trend. Management of financial material resources. These are the kinds of competencies all across. I'm not specifically talking about information professionals. I'll come to that a little later. But here is a general feel, and it is applicable to all kinds of workforce, be it in industry, be it in government, be it in academics, be it in policy making, be in any and every field with which we are concerned. So the fourth, which is declining, technology installation per se and maintenance. Reading, writing, math and active listening. Management of personnel. You can note down any question that you may have, you can ask me. Quality control and safety awareness. Coordination and time management. Visual, auditory and speech abilities. Technology use, monitoring and control. These are the kinds of competencies which are showing a declining trend as far as the scenario 2022 is concerned. In the same scenario, what are the kinds of competencies which are getting the prominence in days to come would be analytical thinking and innovation, because we are headed towards innovation driven economy. Right now we are in information intensive economy, and the next stage in the transition is innovation driven economy, innovation era. Active learning and learning strategies, creativity, originality and initiative, technology, design and programming, critical thinking and analysis, complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, emotional intelligence, reasoning and problem solving and ideation, system thinking, analysis and evaluation. So these are the kinds of competencies which are kind of gaining more and more prominence and importance. And we see the future workplace scenario, whenever they will be looking at the talent, they'll be looking at the talent which is equipped with these kinds of skill sets and competencies. Why are they declining? Predominantly, most of these things are now technology driven, technology savvy, technology intensive, right? Except of course one or two which are also even intellect intensive, even in these declining areas. But then predominantly why they are getting less prominence or why they are showing a declining trend is by and large because of technology advancement, because of technology absorption, because of heavier inroads technology is making into our lives, into our businesses, into our activity mix and into our everything. Now this is a broad scenario applicable in the context of anyone and everyone. When we come to specifics about information professionals, which is the topic of our discussion today, I think some of the competencies which we have to equip ourselves with, if not now, it might be late tomorrow. So I would not call them, generally people call them as soft skills. I won't call them as soft skills. To me, they are life skills. What do I mean by when I'm saying life skills? I mean, if you have it, you are there, existing in the profession. If you don't have these, you are not there in the real sense of the term. You may know volumes of classification. You may know volumes of cataloging. You may have in-depth exposure to all kinds of rules, regulations of library information science. You may know the best of the best management techniques. You may know best of the best financial planning. You may know best of the best user services. You may know everything the best which the library and information science curricula at bachelor's, at master's, or even while pursuing your PhD has taught you. To me, you are incomplete. To be a complete professional, these are the kinds of skill sets that you have no choice but to hone them. And the earlier you do that, the better it is. Now, they are also simple. You may say, well, what is so great about it? I know people have been talking about for years that communication is a good skill, one must hone it. But trust you or me, if you ask anybody a question, hey, what is really communication? I don't know, we will have answers. The colleagues attending this meeting, if they could just jot down, what is their understanding of when I say information professional has to hone a competency like communication. What do they mean by that? Generally, the answers would be coming from anybody and everybody would be, sir, it is just exchange of ideas, emotions, feelings. It is expression of thoughts, words and deeds. It is just transferring information. It is more than that. People will talk about, they know and they are correct. If you look at the etymology, where has this word come from? The word communication has come from two foreign words, communicare, which is share. Communicare, C-O-M-M-U-N-I-C-A-R-E, which is share. And the other word is communis, which is common. So looking at the two together, it means the same thing as we would understand normally, sharing something common. And what is sharing something common? Could be an idea, could be an information, could be a feeling, could be something. But that is not what I expect communication to be understood by information professionals. I want them to understand and be effective communicators, and they will understand and be effective communicators if by their thought, word, and deed they are able to, I repeat, they are able to get the desired outcome or output from their highly demanding user. If you have served a piece of information and if the user says, yes, this is the exact precise piece of information I was looking at and I was not getting it, that is what I say. You have understood him and you have been able to provide him the kind of response he was expecting. Then I would say, no, you have understood the world of communication because you have got what you wanted to get out of your communication. It is not just passing on, it's not just sharing. Gone are those days. We, in today's context, we say the role of an information professional has to be not just the provider of information. It has to be that he or she is the partner in the academic pursuit of the academia. And what does the academia do? What does the academic do? What does the faculty do? The faculty engages himself or herself into three critical activities. And that's what it is. Not more than that. Not the fourth one. A faculty is in the business of knowledge generation, which is research. A faculty is in the business of knowledge dissemination, which is teaching. A faculty is in the business of knowledge application, which is use and service. So we will have to be proactive partners to the faculty in helping him discharge these three activities efficiently and effectively. And that is possible only, as I said, not being a supportive role, not being a provider, but a partner. It is very tough for us to understand that, but that is the way it has to be. If you are not able to emphasize and convince the people at the helm, which are crafting and drafting wonderful documents like national education policy, if you don't tell them and convince them, if the professionals don't wake up and take up and convince that any policy related to education will be incomplete if it does not talk with adequate thrust and impetus about the ever evolving, ever transforming learning resource centers as a support, as a partner to the whole academic activity mix. So, communication, I understand that way. The second thing that I think our professionals will have to look at and develop in them is the power of critical thinking. I am sure you understand what is the world of critical thinking. I hope all of us understand it. I will not have time and opportunity because the crowd is so big, so I won't involve in the discussion. But understand, critical thinking is thinking logically, thinking rationally, thinking with a reflecting mind, not jumping to conclusions on any situation, looking at pros and cons of a situation, looking at pluses and minuses of the request made by your user, looking at positives and negatives of providing an answer to that query of your user. So, looking at the situation in totality with an open, alert, awake mind, as opposed to dull, passive, and sleeping mind, is what is the world of critical thinking. So, unless you as professionals in the information sector develop that power and competency of thinking critically, probably there will be a gap between you and your user. You may try to serve him the best, but it is not what he is looking for, what he is expecting, because there is some gap. So you can be a critical thinker. Everyone can be a critical thinker. The only thing is that you have to develop the power of inquisitiveness in you. You have to develop the power of inquisitiveness. And how do you develop that power of inquisitiveness? Very simple. Any situation, any user, any context, any setting, all the while you have to be open in your approach, open in your mind, and try to find answers to, if not more, at least 5 W's. And what are those 5 W's? What, where, when, who, why. If you get answers to those questions, then whatever you are trying to find as a problem, you will be able to understand what that problem is. The moment you are able to understand what the problem is, definitely you have solved the problem. The problems with problem identification are such because we don't understand the problem, because we don't critically think. If we think critically, then we'll understand the problem. And the moment we understand the problem, we are sure to find a solution for that. And similarly, we will work on the exact decision. We'll take a right decision, which is not good to us as a decision maker, as a leader, as a librarian, but it is good to that person, that client, that user for whom the decision is taken. Most of the times, we say we have taken a right decision. You have taken a right decision from your perspective. Has the decision also been perceived by the person on whom the decision has been taken as a good one? That is where this critical thinking comes in handy, because it does not leave any scope for bias. It doesn't leave any scope for any preconceived notion or a prejudice or any kind of thing. It's open because it opens up the situation. So like that, these are some kinds of skill sets which I want all of us in this information sector to be equipped with. And there's nothing which is difficult that you cannot. I will, if time permits, I will make sure that all of you are, participating in a small little exercise. By that participation of yours in that exercise, in one go, we will understand not only the power of all these 10 skill sets which are there, right from communication to networking, you will also see how can you develop those as a matter of practice over a period of time, because there is no choice. All of us have to be good communicators. All of us have to be good critical thinkers. All of us have to be problem solvers. All of us have to be decision makers. All of us to have to work in teams. All of us have to exhibit the leadership quality. All of us have to resort to these kinds of things. So if time permits, I may show you a small little caselet where all of us will get engaged, and hopefully we will be able to identify what needs to be done by us to hone these competencies. Now, on the other side of the sheet, I have written a term VUCA, UCA. I am 101% sure this is not a new term to anyone attending this meeting, right? But COVID-19 has triggered the thought process of all of us to understand it proactively, because it has given us this scenario, which is V for volatile, U for uncertain, C for complex, and A for ambiguous. So ambiguity is there at its best. Complexity as of now is at its best in any and every walk of life. Uncertainty is there. We don't even know. This COVID came up in December of last year in a small tiny place of China, Wuhan. It never occurred to us that it will travel globe over, requiring no permissions and visas. And in March, it started showing its colors to us in India. And we know how we were then and how we had to switch and change gears overnight. Academics know it too well. Teachers know it very well. The administrators like Professor Rao and Dean Saab know it very well. All of you attending this meet know it very well. So I think VUCA, though it was talked about a lot earlier, but it has come into place today with this COVID. It has got a booster in terms of COVID. It has got an accelerator. So what kind of competencies has it made mandatory for us in the information sector? Everybody will agree with me that there isn't any choice for us not to understand, not to play, not to use technology. There isn't any other alternative with us. I'm whatever age I am, I don't want to reveal that, but I am quite elderly, right? So I have no choice but to work with this technology, but to understand all applications that I have to put to use day in and day out. I have to monitor the activities of the university, whether they are in teaching, whether they are in research, whether they are in consulting, whether they are in training, whether they are in finance, whether they are in administration, whether they are in security, whether they are in maintenance. I have to have familiarity to use technology so that right staying in my office, because situation will not permit me to go around and meet and mix people, I must be able to understand the health of my organization. And I can understand the health of my organization on academics, on administration, on support, on marketing, only by sitting on the terminal if I know technology in and out. It is not just playing and operating with PowerPoint. It is more and more of that. The more you are richer, the better you are. So we in this profession have to, without any choice, master this technology. The earlier you do it, the better it is. The earlier you master as much of it, the better it is, because this is going to stay. Whether COVID, we get vaccine tomorrow, the kind of way of life is going to be this way, because we know for sure what we are headed to. If this full stop was not put before us, not full stop, a comma was not put before us by COVID, I don't know where were we heading towards. I'm talking about the last competence, this sustainability. We talk about climate issues. We talk about SDGs. I don't know there was a dream by 2030 we should have been mastering those all SDGs through those guiding principles, but we don't know where are we. People say if we do not wake up to climate issues now, we are bound to see the peril. The examples that have been shared, I don't need to share those examples. So I'm saying this is at its best. We have to work from home. We have to understand what it takes to work from home and what does it involve. And to me, of the various elements, it involves the maximum amount of trust that you can build on yourself, the credibility that you can build on yourself, because it is just a matter of trust. One will work with you when you are particularly working from home. It is not that it is because of COVID, but I think the way the work scenarios, workplaces, work environments are changing, not only in education, but in other areas, whether we become normal in so-called terms or not, the work from home scenario will continue, right? If that continues, the greatest element which will make it happen successfully will be the element of trust. How do you build that trust? People will look at it. How does your thought, word, and action ooze that element of trust? What we'll look at. The fourth element, the energy. I'm just saying, when we are on campus, we see each other, we meet each other. Just by looking at each other, we know the level. Where are we vis-a-vis the topic of discussion, vis-a-vis the kind of activity on hand, vis-a-vis the task that we are into. But it is not possible. How do we make sure, while operating with technology, while operating in work from home situation, how are we in terms of our energy and engagement? How do we stay motivated? How do we tell the world that we stay motivated with this? So these are the kinds of things that will assume criticality in days to come. Some posed by COVID-19, that's what times ahead, and some otherwise demanded by the profession, which is working with users as their partners in days to come. So if we are able to hone these competencies and we are able to take care of these elements, we would be better off. You would be surprised why have I included certain things which have assumed greater significance and importance in today's context. Like I said, compassion, like I said, mindfulness, like I said, ethics, like I said, this attitude, very important, very critical. Changing to gratitude and then sustainability. We'll talk about, note it for your purpose for a discussion at a later point in time. You would have looked at, I'm sure you are all academics, you would have looked at the national education policy. Have you looked at that? I'm sure, yes. Manoj would, supplement that. Yes, we are academics. We would have looked at what the national education policy talks about, right? So, it took 3 to 4 years to work on that document. But once it was released to the nation by the government on 29th of July, there have been at least about hundreds of webinars and discussions at various levels. In my limited capacity, in my small capacity, I was sharing with Professor Rao that I have been part of 50 such interactions during this a month and a half, right? The purpose was to create as much awareness as possible, which has not been happening in other documents, in other policies earlier. We see that a positive and healthy trend to create as much awareness as possible about the various provisions, where stipulations in this policy. So that policy document, which to my mind is a visionary document, which to my mind is all student centric, which to my mind is enabling a student or a youth of India to pursue his or her passion, has talked about a great deal about these competencies that education system must ensure that the students and the youth of India are equipped with, because the philosophy of the policy is our youth will not be life ready. It says what is that is needed by us to make them not just job ready, but make them life ready, make them understand India, make them understand Indian values, Indian culture, Indian science, Indian politics, Indian education, Indian sports, Indian economics, all of those areas. Let them understand India so that they can be true ambassadors of India. So while it is talking about that element with as much clarity as possible, it also talks about the education system to ensure that students, over and above the domain that they have come to the university or college or institution to pursue, they are also equipped with these skill sets and competencies. I will not have time to go over each and every skill set and competency as to see how it can be inculcated. I will use next set of minutes available to me to tell you what we are doing at our university, because we have understood this is a reality. This is the need of the hour. So we are saying what is that we need to make our professionals future ready. In the same breath, I say, what is that we need to do? Make our information professionals future ready. Future ready means where they are understanding their role not as provider, not as support, but as a proactive partner. In that context, what are the competencies and what can be done to equip the professionals in this information sector with those competencies is what I will try to tell you through a small experience of ours at the university that I am working, which is J.K. Lakshpat University. We have created a center of communication and critical thinking. Triple CT, its favorite name is Triple CT. Now, what we are doing is through this center, each and every student, each and every faculty, each and every member of the university, we ensure that he is able to think critically. He is able to identify and solve problems, and he is able to communicate effectively. Not just communicate, he is able to communicate it effectively. Because these are the three competencies very critical of any professional, including an information professional. So through this center of communication and critical thinking, our endeavor is that each and every member at the university, the student, the faculty, the staff, officer, anyone and everyone is exposed to a chain of courses, not one, but six courses, so that those elements which we saw in the previous slide, thinking critically, understanding and solving problems, then communicating effectively, is honed by the student. At least the basic fundamentals are explained, and then with a matter of practice, he is able or she is able to hone that. Then we engage these people on various labs which equip them with the skill sets on reading, writing, speaking, and listening. It may appear very light to you, but it is what is needed. And these happen on a regular basis. And we make sure that these people organize, conduct, plan, conceive, design, develop, and deliver events, because it is confidence which has to be oozing from them. It is exposure which has to be oozing from them. So making sure that we design some courses which each and every one of us has to go through, we make them sit through the labs, equip them with the skill sets on these four elements precisely, and then engage them into events. When we talk about the courses, look at the courses, and you will really appreciate how can you develop the kinds of skill sets that are needed. Okay, and if some of you who are very familiar with the National Education Policy document, it talks about this. It talks about this in greater details and depth. So we have a course on fundamentals of communication, critical thinking through storytelling, perspectives on contemporary issues, knowing what is current, what is contemporary, how is one aware of where we are in economy, in science, in technology, in politics, in gender, in sustainability, in environment, so on and so forth. And then communication and identity, understanding and managing conflict, critical thinking for decisions at workplace. Time will not permit me to tell you what goes on through these courses. Each and every course is a 2-credit course, but sufficient will be to share with you. Each and every one is made to get exposed to these courses. As in the case of a student, if he is an MBA student, 2 years, all the way, first term, second term, third term, fourth term, fifth term, sixth term. In case of an engineering student, like that, first term, second term, so on and so forth. In case of design, because we are a small university, only into 3 basic broad areas of design, management, and technology. So we make sure that the students and the faculty and everybody undergoes these kinds of courses over a period of time. Because I don't believe the way I used to believe, or I was forced to believe when I was at IM for 30 long years. We had the impression, and we would do that way, that a student has come to us and give him a course or her a course on communication. In the first time, he has understood communication for life. It doesn't work that way, to my understanding, to my limited understanding. So unless and until you expose to him at gradual, different, regular intervals on the basic nuts and bolts of what the world of communication is, it will not happen. So these are the kinds of events, the courses I talked to you about. How do we engage our students and faculty in various, so that they develop that confidence and have that concept of working with teams, presence and communication. All of that is done that way. And then, another course which I think is important, because the kind of competency, the kind of skill set, the kind of value, the kind of attitude which us, the information professionals, have to hone, is what we call as this social, emotional, and ethical learning, C learning. For the first time in a country like India, I took upon myself and started teaching this course to our MBA students. This is not my course, but in our country, I was the first to start teaching this course to MBA students. Not heard of? Surprise? But that's true. But again, I would say it was not my course. The course I borrowed from a university which is in US, and it is called as Emory University. You can go at the website and look at it. EMORY, Emory University. They had designed and developed and delivered this course. When I looked at the total thing, the learning outcomes, the experience of students, the experience of faculty, I said, yeah, this is one such course which will equip my boys and girls, my faculty, my staff with some skill sets and competencies which will be more sought after. Why shouldn't I do it? Okay, mind you, for the graduate students, and that too at master's level, it is not done even in US. They do it for school kids, they do it for college kids. But I said, okay, the elements are nice, because it did help me to help my students to develop these 3 critical skill sets and competencies: mindfulness, compassion, and ethics. If you look at the components which I taught them, which I will not use the word taught, which I discussed with them, which I interacted with them on. Teaching is not the right word for a course like this. Which I discussed with them, which I interacted with them on, was understanding self and then understanding others. This is the first competency, I would say, most critical for information professionals. I don't know how many of us right now the gathering is of 227. All the members, I may request you to just note down on a piece of paper 3 questions that I will ask you. And if you have answers, please share at the end of my discussion. And the 3 questions are, write it out for yourself. This is related to the first element, which is the first critical element of this course, understanding self. And the questions are 3, very simple. Look at the smile of these. These were also the same way in my first class when I told them, hey, answer these 3 questions. When they heard the question, they smiled at me. Sir, we are 20 plus. Do you think we don't have answers for these 3 questions? Which is very simple. If we didn't have answers for these 3 questions, we would not be where we are. But later when we discussed and deliberated, they could understand what I was trying to look at, what I was trying them to understand in terms of answers to these 3 questions. The 3 questions for the paucity of time are, number 1, who you are. Write it out for me, who you are. Second question, what you have. What you have. And the third and the last question is, what would you like to be? I repeat, who you are, what you have, what would you like to be? So, listening to the question, immediate answer was, so sir, I am so and so, my father is so and so, I have done this graduation, I am from this place, my background is this, all of that. I said, I don't want those answers. Those answers can be given to me by the registrar of the university in an Excel sheet. I don't want those answers. I want answers for these 3 questions which you and you alone can tell me. And I don't want you to write pages and pages of answers for these 3 questions. I want you to answer the first question in not more than 10 words. 10 words, not sentences. 10 words. So if I look at those 10 words, I must feel your pulse, the way the Vabji feels the pulse of his patient. So I must look at those 10 words. When you say, who are you? I must understand who you are. Similarly, what you have, I don't want you to tell me I'm a BA, I'm a so-and-so, no. That I can know from the certificate, that I can know from the documents, that I can know from any record that is available with you or with the university or with your parents. No, something more than that. So look at this. This is what we started this course with in terms of navigating. And then the result of this course, when I talked to them what the world of compassion was, I'm sure I gave you the name of a university, which is Emory University, right? Where this course I got to know was being taught to very school kids, college kids. When I discovered, it was to my utter surprise, that they had started this course because of a person who is in India. Can you believe it? Who is in India? Who is not sure Indian by birth, but is in India. And on top of it is a Nobel laureate. Any guesses? Write the name. What comes to your mind? The course was launched by Emory University because of the trigger provided to them by this great Nobel laureate, His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Now, I had good fortune of meeting him on 2-3 occasions, so I knew when I could connect these dots here and there, that this talks about compassion, this talks about mindfulness, this talks about ethics, this talks about joy of giving, and on top of it, this is because of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I said, I must experiment it with my students. And trust you me, the first batch of our MBA first year students went through this course in the first term. And it paid rich dividends to us at the university. We are a young university. We were looking for getting linked with the government of Rajasthan. We are in Rajasthan. So we were wanting to explore ways of connecting with the government of Rajasthan. We were not getting any success other than getting the ministers or secretaries to the university on one event or the other. No, we wanted to establish a meaningful relation with the government of Rajasthan because we are in Rajasthan. We are not getting any clues. So one day, because of this COVID, this is what you have to understand. What makes difference at what point in time? And what is the criticality of that competence which will help you blossom at what point in time? So in this COVID, a group of such students who you are seeing smiling in this, 7, 8 students of this group came to me one day when the COVID-19 was in the second lockdown period. They said, sir, we have done our diligence, we have done our research, we have worked on various permutations, combinations, and we are suggesting to you an idea. And the idea is we want to do something to reach out to a section of society who is otherwise neglected. And the section of the society which is otherwise neglected, they told me, were the elderly, above 65 years of age. I said, is my age the criteria? They said, no, sir. There are people who are elderly and they are deprived of basic minimal facilities like food, like health, medicines, like some consultation, counseling. I said, but where will you get food to them from? Where will you get medicines? It involves a lot of money. And where will you move? You cannot do. It's all lockdown. People are in their homes. What can you do? This is not a good idea. No, sir, we have thought through it. Our research during the first lockdown period has told us we can do it because you have taught us something, that the joy of living, the happiness of living is when you do something for others. And we want to do something. We want to take on the learnings from the course that you taught us, and we want to reach out to the people. We are not providing medicines. We are not providing food. We, of course, are providing them some consultation, but we want to act as an interface between these elderly and the service providers. I said, no, bhai, government is doing and they will not allow us to do anything. We can't do it. Think of something else. They said, sir, listen to us. And when I listen to them, the best part is I'm a good listener. When I intend to listen, when I am there to listen. So I listened to them. I saw some sincerity and seriousness of purpose. Immediately, I called the collector of Jaipur. I'm in Jaipur. I called the collector of Jaipur. The first 2 teleconversations were so negative. I know I'm a good communicator, but it was off. He said, no, sir, please don't disturb us. We have so many problems on our hand. We don't want to get into anything. We are doing our best. We'll reach out to them. So please. But I saw some merit in the proposal by virtue of getting them this course. So what I did was, I said, all right, sir, I will not bother you any longer, but I am sending you a letter. Please take a look at that letter when you are free. He said, no, my job starts at 6 in the morning and it is 10 o'clock. Sir, I said, please give 10 minutes to me after 10 o'clock. Please go through this letter. If you find there is some merit in what it is, come back to me. Otherwise, it is all closed. Can you believe he literally called me at 11 in the night? Dr. Saab, can we discuss on it tomorrow morning? And we discussed the proposition with him. And that is where a helpline by JKLU, JK Lakshpat University, and state government in the form of Share Care came about. And we are linked to that. Now it's not only linked to, it's not confined to Jaipur, it is all the way to Rajasthan. It's not in Rajasthan, it's with many parts of the country. And it has received a phenomenal response. In the first month of its launch, there were 1,000 people who were taken care of. Some in terms of medicine, some in terms of food, some in terms of other things. Cutting the long story short, one of the things that occurred to me once I was seeing this success story all the way, I got into a little bit of difficulty because these students, when they had taken upon this task, were free because their internships were not happening. They had time because internships were complete, but then because of lockdown, they were not taking up those assignments. They were free. I thought now lockdown has been released and joinings are starting. Work from is opening. happening. How will they do it? So I requested them, thank you so much for your help. Now I have to look at another set of volunteers. And that is where I said, no, I did a right thing for the university, for the students. And this is what needs to be done for the students at large. They came up, they said, sir, the kind of joy, the kind of satisfaction, the kind of happiness that we have derived during this month of working for these people, we will not get it in our lifetime through any other mechanism. So we promise you, we will not compromise on the internships, we will not compromise on the jobs, but please don't deprive us of being associated with this. So these are the kinds of competencies which are the need of COVID and COVID-like scenarios, times and times ahead. I just gave you an example because they learned not through theory these elements. I did not teach them definition of compassion. I did not teach them definition of mindfulness. I did engage them into something which was to happen. So 2-3 times I took them while I was explaining them the joy of giving. I took them to Akshay Patra. They saw what Akshay, I am sure all of you attending this meeting will be aware of what Akshay Patra is doing. I took them to Jaipur food because we are in Jaipur. I'm sure all of you, whether you are in Mizoram or any other part of the country, you will understand what Jaipur food is. So when they saw the sincerity at its best and all of the people doing it out of passion, out of love, out of care for others, they said, yeah, this is real life. They understood. Otherwise, we know the kind of people we are teaching today. We know the kind of mindset they are being taught today. But you have to really make them slowly understand the real purpose of life. And then once they understand, there is no looking back. So these were some of the competencies through this. At the end of it, if they understand, if they are able to convince, if they are able to agree or disagree, evaluate, listen, collaborate, argument, think critically, have developed the power of reason, attitude, perspectives, persuade, ethics. So all of this is what is needed in terms of the competencies. And I can list any number of such things, but I'm sure you will have to develop them as a part of your life. If you develop them, you are the professional of not only today, you are the professional of tomorrow. If you expect and if you believe that your role is not just issue and return of a book, classify or catalog a book, prepare a bibliography or render a current awareness service or select dissemination of information service bulletin, if your job is to work as a partner side by side with the teacher who is teaching a particular course, giving him what can make his teaching more engaging, more enriching. If you work with him, understand his or her research problem, be a step ahead to him and suggest and guide. Similarly, on other areas, if you take up your role and responsibility as a partner, not just a support was till today, till yesterday, but in days to come, you have to be more proactive. And it is these competencies, if you develop in you, you will not only live to the expectations of your demanding users, but you will also surpass them. I will close my session with this small little appeal to all of you. If you have to stay successful in your profession, if you have to stay successful with kinds of competencies that you need to develop, please make sure that you make this a prayer of your life. I have done it to the extent possible. I was very impressed. This is again not my prayer. It is by N.W. Peel. The book that impressed me most was Power of Positive Thinking, right? Power of Positive Thinking. Because COVID has put before us lots of challenges. And to me, challenge is the sign of life. If you don't see any challenge, I think we are dead. Onus is on us to convert all such challenges into opportunities. And how do you convert those challenges into opportunities? is the prayer by this great Guru N.W. Peer, who said, God, repeat with me in your own way, and let it be a prayer for each and every one of us. COVID, no COVID, profession and professionals to excel. The way is this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Grant me the serenity, because I cannot stop COVID right now unless we get a cure, unless we get a vaccine. Grant me the serenity to accept that it has happened. Yes, it is a reality, it has happened. Accept it with all humility. But at the same time, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. COVID example. Courage to change the things that I can. I mean, all of us understood the challenge. In education world, I'm in a university, we had a challenge of how to continue with our teaching learning process. It took us a day or 2 or 3 to switch gears to online teaching, ensuring most minimal interruption on the teaching learning process. So, oh Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, grant me the courage to change the things that I can, and grant me the wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. So please understand it, make it a part of your life. You will have answers to each and every solution that you can encounter. And if you take some cues and clues of this discussion, there are basically 8-10 competencies which are a must for us. Technology has to be absorbed, has to be accepted by us, has to be understood by us, and we have to work with it. We have to be truthful to the work system by working from home, ensuring that each and everybody has trust and confidence on us. We have to develop the power of communication so that we are in the same wavelength with our user. We have to have the different kinds of competencies that I said to identify, understand, and address a problem. To work with colleagues, it is easy said than done, right? So I stop here with these few words of request, wishing each and every one of us all the very well, expressing my gratitude to the university for giving me this opportunity, and in particular Manoj, who talked to me. Sir, we want you to talk, and if we want to come over and talk to our audience. I felt it was a great opportunity. Thank you for the honor, and I am now available to each and every one of you for any question that you may have. I am stopping share slide, right? I am available to you. Over to Manoj.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for your nice presentation, and very elaborate. You give your information in this pandemic time, how library professional we have to work and what competency we required to come up with the handle the present situation. So with this, sir, now we are in end of the session, and I would have.
Some questions will be there.
No. Yeah. Now I request all the participants, whatever they have doubt or some questions, please you put in Q&A box. Please you put. I will put up to the speaker, and sir will reply that answer. So all the participants. So, sir, there is no question from participant. So, sir, in end of the program, just I would like to give. Yeah, I conclude with vote of thanks that first of all I give my thanks to Professor Rosanlal Vaina sir, who very kind enough to give his time. Only 3 days, 4 days back, when I contacted him morning, and within 20 minutes he replied and he agreed to give this lecture. And with this, I also would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor K.R.S. Sambasiva Rao, to provide a unique platform to that webinar platform to share the interact and share the knowledge information across the world. So many resource person we started this webinar in March itself, and continue. It is going on for many months, and many experts they are sharing their knowledge, their informations. So thank you, sir, for giving this such type of the platform to us. And Professor R.K. Nutin Kumar, I like to thank our coordinator, Professor R.K. Nutin Kumar, Dean, School of Semis, Head of Department, Professor S.N. Singh, and last not least, I would like to thank all the participants who attend this webinar. With this, sir, now I am ending the webinar, sir.
Manoj, just a second.
Yes.
You know, from my side, I would like to thank Mizoram University, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Rao and Dean, and all the people attending this meeting for having very patiently listened to whatever I had to say. I have not said anything which is rocket science, very simple little things, but I'm so touched the way the respondents have talked about this session. I am seeing the chat box. It is all full of good words, praise, you know, all of that. I thank each and every participant for that, those kinds of observations, because I see people from Kashmir to Kanyakumari on this. I see some friends from Jammu. I see some friends from Jaipur. I see from all parts of the country. So I thank each and every participant for being on this meeting and wish them a safe and healthy life despite COVID, by observing various minimal norms that all of us are following. Thank you so very much, each and every one of you. Thank you, Manoj, for giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Dean Saab.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presence.
You can come a little closer to Manoj. Yeah.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, here we
Sir.
are. Thank you so much. Nice to
So
meet you.
convey my thanks to Honorable Vice Chancellor also. He was very nice.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here.
He's sitting with
Sir,
us.
sir, he's
with
sitting
us.
here, sir.
He's sitting
Can-
with
Yes,
us.
sir. I'm here, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my thank you to Honorable Vice Chancellor. When the situation eases, I will definitely come down to Mizoram and meet you people all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Here
Thank
is
you,
our
thank you
Vice
so very
Chancellor. Vice Chancellor is sitting with us.
Professor?
Waiting for the Vice
Sir,
Chancellor.
Pro-Vice Chancellor is also with us, sir. Professor
Okay,
J.K.
okay,
Patnaik.
okay. Pro-Vice Chancellor. Thank you, Pro-Vice Chancellor, sir. Thank you so very much. All the very best. Thanks everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So much. Thank you.
Back below.